Hey guys, today I'm bringing you a Minerva deck profile. The same Minerva deck profile that I took with me all the way to the Thank You Festival. One of the most amazing experiences. Guys, check out the World Qualifier when you get a chance. The community, getting the promos, just such a great time. Okay, so today we're starting off with the starting Vanguard, Vivid Rabbit. Counterblast 1, put in the Soul, check top 3 for grade 3. I use this over all those other starting Vanguards. I mean, the free soul charging and the 3+ soul charging, which is okay. That's 2 counterblast heavy. The other one is just, you don't need to get rid of all your triggers in the soul. This helps with a consistent ride. Trust me, you want to have that break ride, get more draw, be able to guard against some big hitters. Things like duos, Nova grapplers, Chaos Breaker not so much, because once he does his break ride, he's not really that threatening. But things like Minerva, you want to try and get to your break rides as quick as possible, so you need to draw as much as freaking possible. So, first, the grade 3 lineup, the break ride, Regalia of Wisdom Angelica. Alrighty, so limit break skill, ride, Soul Blast 3, gain 10,000 power and draw 2 cards. It's not so much bad to break ride over break ride because it helps you fill up that hand. And it also kind of helps you fill the field too, because you're going to need to constantly hit for opponents who have hands of pretty much the gods. So their skills, when it attacks, Soul Charge 1 and gain 1,000 power. That's not so bad. You want to do it so you can consistently gain Soul, but you don't want to stay in this for too long, because you do want to push per game before it ends up going back on you. Next we have 4 Omniscience Regalia, Minerva. The Queen of Genesis, pretty much until we hit EB 12 Waltz of the Goddess. And I think even then, some people really use this card still. Everyone knows the skill, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 3, and drop 3 Genesis from your hand. And then you have the Crossride skill. This Crossride skill is very useful, especially when pretty much everything has a Crossride nowadays. Oh my god. And the only problem I have with this card, I mean, I love the restanding regardless of not guard or guard, but dropping 3 cards from your hand means you only really get 1 card left in your hand after the restand. That basically, it could slow the deck down pretty bad. I mean, it leaves you with very little regardless. You have to very carefully pick and choose what you want to use, what you want to get rid of. And trust me when I say that can get very scary when you're in a close match. So being vital, or when you're on a beatdown on your opponent, it doesn't really matter that much because there's not much more of a difference. Restanding Vanguards though, people. Can't live with them, can't live without them. And that's not a women's reference. Alrighty guys, next up we have pretty much the staple of all staples in this deck, which is a Grape Scrapbook. Now everyone uses this card for many reasons, and its one simple thing is that it makes, when you Soul Blast it, you basically paid for nothing. You can Soul Charge the top 2 cards of your deck when you Soul Blast it. It's just that simple. Usually primarily your grade 2 ride target, but trust me guys, you don't want to be dependent on it because it will happen. You will miss it once in a while. Next, obvious, another staple of pretty much every deck nowadays has to have a 12k beat stick. This is the Goddess of Trees Jupiter, a 12k beat stick for the Regalias. Just, it's obvious, you need it. There's no way getting around it. This is my tech card, Battle Maiden Sahohime. Now Sahohime, the reason I have her Counterblast 1 and Soul Charge 3, it puts pressure. And its skill only works if you hit the Vanguard, but trust me when I say the deck becomes too dependent if you cannot ride either Valencia or Grappa. So this is very important to have this card in the deck. It creates pressure. You gain the soul. I mean, it's just that better. I mean, I used to run Chamomile. Bad idea, because it does not help create pressure. It does not help you make your own winning situation, even without the break ride. Trust me, it's just, this card helps you in so many different ways. It outdoes all the other little tech cards you can put in for grade 2, trust me. Next, more staples. 3 Perfect Guard, Goddess of Sacrifice Kushinade. Probably one of my favorite arts in the game for Perfect Guards, next to Solar Falcon himself. Perfect Guards at this point, they're all staples. You have to run them if you're going to play competitive. There's not really a deck that doesn't allow you to win without them. Not in the competitive standards anyway. 1 Quintet Wall. Yes, I still run 1 Quintet Wall. Other people sometimes are so crazy they run 2 or more. In a deck that makes soul charging a basic mechanic, you don't really want to attack too many of these in. I only really use this for duos and Nova Grapplers because they attack so many, dropping 1 card just so that way for my hand so I can guard a small attack or a stacked on triggered rearguard. Trust me, it's viable and it'll help you survive a lot. But you don't want to become dependent on these because they will help deck you out. Another fun fact about this deck, never been decked out once. Funny, right? Next, believe it or not, I do not run Apple Cider. That is, to me, useless in this deck. I mean, even with that combo with the Quintet Wall, it's still very bad. I run 4 of the 8K booster, Mihikari Hime. Why I do that is because even after it's cross-ridden, with this behind your Vanguard Minerva, you can still hit consistently every turn for 21K minimum. What that means is bigger guard from your opponent. They have to try and figure out how to stop it. It'll just be that unrelenting. Trust me guys, the old 8K B stick is not dead. Certain decks is not dead. This one, it definitely makes itself right at home. Cider it's not bad to gain the extra soul, but in this deck you really don't need it. Your opponent will have a hard time guarding Saohime. He'll not be able to constantly stop, of course, when you just use the Angelica to gain the extra soul. And when you Soul Blast, you'll at least be able to gain 1 Valencia or 1 Grappa into the soul, either by soul charging or by raiding. Trust me, this deck creates its own soul. You don't need any extra mechanics, trust me. Especially becoming dependent on losing so many cards to gain soul is a bad idea. We'll run 2 Ordain Owl. A lot of people usually run 3. I'm assuming that's just for consistency's sake. Consistency? Ugh. So Ordain Owl's skill is you can return any number of regalias from your discard pile back to the bottom of your deck. Now that's good to help you from not decking yourself out, but it also means you get 5,000 power to any card with regalia. So what that means is even a rear guard, I did not know this when I first did the tournament, but even a rear guard regalia can get an extra 5k power. Of course you really want to own the Vanguard for the restanding process, but that's actually helpful when you go for game, because your Vanguard consistently puts on so much pressure on its own. This little guy, he works out in many ways. But I only run 2 because behind anything other than a grade 3 or a 12k beat stick, it's a bad situation. Then 4 of the last little staple, the Witch of Orange's Valencia. Same as Grappa, Soul Blaster out, you get a soul charge top 2 cards your deck. It's not necessarily a bad thing. The thing I like about it is because she's a primary raid target. I mean, you get smiles when you see her in your hand in the beginning. Late in game, if you're running low on soul, which usually doesn't happen too much with this deck, you could still just pop her out, increase the soul, that way you feel safe. You don't make too many clumsy decisions. As long as those cards you soul charge aren't triggers, but the majority of the time they are. Sometimes I wonder if my opponent stacked the deck on me, or I just do it to myself and soul charge all them triggers. Alrighty, the last part is the trigger lineup, which it's not as basic as everyone else, because once you see the amount of crits I run, you'll be like, who's this dude kid? So I run 4, 8, 9. Yes, only 9 critical triggers. Minerva does not need 12 critical freaking triggers. It's great to have them. It consistently hits damage without it having to be 12. Trust me guys, if you want to get that oh so elusive double crit on your opponent, you can get it just fine with 9 critical or even 8. I saw people go farther in the tournament who had more draw triggers, obviously above 8 or between 8 and 12, had the lower amount, went farther than those who went 12 crit. Why? Is because you need the hand. Some decks attack like crazy. Some decks will battle you out even if you do manage to get some hand. Trust me. You don't want to run all 12 unless you're going for a rush of the gods. 9 crit is consistent. It helps you battle against the most vicious of decks. Even double critting, guys, it does happen with 9. You don't need it. It happens with 8 even. But trust me, I've seen people go farther with less crits in this deck. The natural 4 heal, Witch of Pots. And lastly, 3 draw triggers. This deck has never ever drawn me out. Never decked me out. Trust me. 3 draw triggers, it helps, especially when you cannot seem to get the break ride. Like I said, you're gonna need them. I mean, a lot of opponents, you need to get to your perfect guards for Transcendence Dragon Nouvelle Vague. God, I hate that card. I shouldn't hit on it so much though. It's not like it's all that bad. Just Dauntless. Dauntless makes it unstoppable. Well, not unstoppable, but hard to beat. Either way, you need to get the draw triggers. A lot of decks can attack and overwhelm you so fast. Gold Paladins can rush you and all the rest of them. Trust me, you want at least 3 draw. And guys, will be the end of this deck profile. I'm going to have more up soon for Buddy Fight, Vanguard, and Weiss Schwartz. I'm going to be having a box opening too of the Great Clash, the new extra booster that's coming out for Buddy Fight tomorrow. This is only the first of many deck profiles and only the beginning of this channel, guys. I know my voice is a little cracky. I just got off of work, and trust me, doing this late, oh my god, it's a pain. But I do it though, and hoping that maybe some people can take ideas from this. You guys can take the deck yourselves. You guys can modify it, change it any way you want. Just hope that young players kind of see that there's more options than kind of just beating your opponent to death with a stick. And also, guys, once again, please try and check out a World Qualifier if you get a chance. It's an amazing experience, trust me. Alrighty, guys, this is just the first of many videos. We'll be having unboxings, more deck profiles, matches, and even a podcast coming soon for all Bushy Road games. Alrighty, guys, have a good one, and I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. Next time, we will definitely have a Thunder Knights from Dragon World deck profile, is the one I ran in the World Qualifier for Buddy Fight. It's a really fun deck. It's aggro. It just works so perfectly in unison. Alrighty, guys, signing off. Have a great evening.